now for the shop report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. Before I introduce my guests, my co-host, as always, Bro Rich and Double J, and hopefully we have some more folks joining the party. I just want to put out somewhat of a disclaimer here. We are not, unfortunately, going live because this particular broadcast was done or thought of to be done impromptu. So, again, unfortunately, we will not be taking any callers. However, we will be revisiting or give you an update on what we had discussed in this past broadcast or last week's show in regards to the coronavirus and the impact that it has had not only on the sports world, but just the world in general. And I'm talking about in all facets, in all corners of the globe. It seems this thing has spread immediately, or the impact has been immediate in, the peril that it has caused so far, actually being labeled as such by our so-called world leaders as a pandemic, which I, in my estimation, think that it's more of an epidemic, and increasingly so. Joining me, of course, on the program today is none other than my cat from the NYC, a.k.a. Rucker Park, Brother Rich. Brother Rich, what's going on, man?
Well, in an hour like this, it's always wonderful to have the company of good men like yourself and Double J and Mr. Jones and, the rest of the Dallas family that you bring. It's always on the other platform.
Yeah, got you. And on the other side of the ledger, we got my man from up north. That's NORF, Joey James, a.k.a. Double J. Tell the people what you say.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you know what? Cry me a river. It's not necessarily the end of the world as we know it. But I get, why some folks are going in that direction in terms of how they feeling about this whole situation and this outbreak or whatnot. But before we get to asking you all, or you gentlemen, your thoughts now that we are, in less than, we were here Tuesday. This was 2 days ago or a day and a half ago. Right, it's Thursday, right. Thank you, Brother Rich. I was having a senior moment right there. I mean, in just less than a 48-hour span from when we discussed it initially, the impact that this coronavirus had, I mean, the fallout has been immense. It went from a 1 to a doggone 10. We all have instances in such this short period of time that we could mention that have happened, that have taken place, unlike what has already taken place. Let me say it like that. So, Brother Rich, we'll come with you. You and I were on the phone a little earlier, and you were telling me that out in California, people are doing what now?
Well, we have seen here in California, certainly in Los Angeles County, that there are lines that are 2 hours long before Costco opens up. 2 hours before it opens up, the lines are around the block to try to get into Costco. People are hoarding or trying to get as much water as they can, trying to get paper towels, toilet papers, all the essentials. And with all the schools closing, and one of the things that we noticed today, we were out at one earlier today, and what we noticed for the studio, where we trying to get certain things, paper towels, bathroom tissue, mothers were getting things for their children because schools are closing.
Yeah.
You got to have children not going to be home. You got to make arrangements now to get juice boxes, things that you normally would have during the summertime. You got to shop like that now. So this is going to cause several, and you could definitely notice that there were a lot of mothers, a lot of people who were there during the that time of the day was a luncheon time, and people were just trying to load up. So it's you can see there's definitely something going on in the society. A friend of mine told me, a reliable friend of mine told me, that in Atlanta, Georgia, people could hardly find any water. And I know that's what took us to Costco, because we were looking for water and couldn't find it in L.A. either. So people are definitely paying attention. And whether it's serious or not, it is serious, because it's a worldwide issue that everybody needs to be in. It's certainly now paying attention to.
For sure. Double J, what about you, man? What's going on your side or your neck of the woods? And the impact that it's had up there.
Absolutely. So the unfortunate side that I can echo is that the toiletries and sanitizers are few and far between at this point. I myself was fortunate enough. I wasn't late to the party, but again, when you forecast what the next few weeks could entail, you have to respect it, and you start reevaluating what you have and what you don't, and what you might need. So again, still being very realistic, and so I myself was fortunate enough at nearly 2 a.m. Today here to find one box that contained the essentials, and including being cordial with again another kind human being, and splitting the Clorox wipes that we had found that had just been unloaded off of a semi truck at a local grocery store. And this was the first time I think that it truly hit me, the economic impact that we are potentially bracing ourselves for. So we're certainly in dire straits, and hopefully we can get some sort of sense of normalcy here soon. But as many have kind of projected, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and we got Gully joining us on the line here from the CLM bus. Gully, before you were in, I just wanted to say, they closed my kids' school down as well. So, matter of fact, I think in the state of Maryland and Ohio, it's not a worldwide, a statewide, in both states, all the schools are shut down. Gully, what impact has the coronavirus had? Since we were just here, like I said, less than 48 hours ago discussing this, what impact has the virus had in your neck of the woods?
I would say personally, I'm taking it more seriously. I think you have to take it seriously because of the fact that at a state level, the government and the health officials are just foregoing any type of social or economic or personal edification or satisfaction by canceling state tournaments, canceling events, gatherings of 100 employees or more. It's had a very serious effect on our economy. All the Walmarts look the same. They all look depleted of the essentials, and people are starting to take it, I think, I would like to say still more seriously than it needs to be, but with all due consideration, people are still, it's not a laughing matter anymore. Even for me, who still remains a bit of a cynic, that's the effect that it's had on people. The schools being closed for 3 weeks, it's not a welcome sort of vacation, but or hiatus from school. But things do have to take things seriously now, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw something on SportsCenter earlier where they showed the players in particular who had played games once the NCAA canceled. Players who were playing games, they were walking off the court, and I guess a few of them made comments about how incongruent, I guess, for lack of a better word or term, it was playing in front of no fans. And at the end of the day, I know the players are the ones that, the focus is on, but that having the fans there in the arena is a necessary element to why we even watch sports in the first place. And again, I hope I'm not saying that, dismissing the actual action on the court or the field, but the fan element is necessary. And to not have that, that's a big gap, man. I was kind of liking it to maybe. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, even at the risk of me of contradicting myself and my viewpoint about it from earlier this week on our show when I brought up the empty arena match that the WWF had back, several years ago. Understand it too that when we're talking about the sporting events, we have to understand that sports has real and has healthy and helpful as it is for the athletes themselves. It is a form of entertainment, and you entertain not only yourself by playing it, but you entertain an audience by participating. So if the audience isn't there to be entertained, how entertaining can the sport be? So right. I definitely rethink, my position. Whereas when I tried to make the alliteration, the one thing that I missed is that they intended to provide something without an audience. So they intended to make, adjust their presentation of the WWF. They intended to adjust their presentation of their content, of their sport, if you will, in light of the fact that they knew that they were not going to have an audience. Not so much the same can be said for games like basketball and football, where they want the audience, that environment or that element of the crowd interaction is necessary for this sport to be entertaining, right? How flat are our presentations whenever there is a game and there are no fans there? And even if you watch it on television, they're very flat. So yeah, definitely it makes an effect. One thing that I am sad about though is the fact that maybe not so much for the seniors that in college, but for like seniors in high school, there's no state tournament in Ohio. There's no wrestling state tournament in Ohio this year. So imagine being a senior, getting your chance and having that momentum and having an opportunity, and you don't even have that opportunity anymore because of the health scare. I think that's really disheartening and unfortunate, and I'm really sad for that.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we had talked about the bottom line. Ordinarily the bottom line wins out in situations. But the thing is, in this case, there's never been a situation like this. This is why I have said the cliche, there's a first time for everything or an exception to the rule. Could the coronavirus be that thing, that one thing this time to uproot the bottom line?
I would say everywhere except for maybe firearms.
Oh, slow down, one at a time. Go ahead, Brother Rich. What were you saying?
I would say without exception it absolutely is, because this is something that no one on this line, perhaps no one listening except people who have actually lived through World War II would have had an instance where they can remember everything for a moment ceasing. Some of us remember 9/11. But they actually went and played. They kept playing NBA games after a while. They didn't recover.
Right.
They didn't have a period where everything indefinitely ceased. The NBA, the NFL, and that whatever you all ceased, and you're all suspended, and you got your players are all now in jeopardy, and your league is in jeopardy, and your championships are not going to be awarded this year. The NC2A tried as mightily as they would to continue with the capitalist regime that they've been running, with exploiting those young people for free and using them for, exactly as Gully pointed out to us, entertainment, where they don't mind even if they did it in an empty arena, long as some people could be entertained watching it on television, and our sponsors would pay our nonprofit organization huge sums of money so we can continue the exploitation of these young talented men. The NBA didn't stop this because they wanted to. They were more proactive. They were wise because they're smart. They understood. They have more talented people around them. They understood right away this could get out of hand. And then you have children who are involved with them, and you have many other people. This is what's going on here, where people are now having to address this and look at it. But let's deal with this, Jay. Let's deal with the fact that look at society, that we even have to discuss whether or not people would be able to take off from work, that the president is deciding whether to declare a national emergency, which would allow for the coverage of certain things to be paid for. But today, just today, all of us heard about Wall Street getting something like $1.5 trillion in bailout money already.
Yeah,
Just
right.
from the beginning of this crisis. But the American people and all the other people who are now going to be impacted, the people who can't find toilet paper, they're impacted. We're impacted. The people who are going to have to stay away from their jobs because their family member or somebody else might be adversely impacted by this. Their children have to stay at home. They got to get money to put them on daycare. All these different, they got to stay away from their job and they won't get paid. They can't pay their health insurance. All these people, no bailout for them.
But you know what, too, brother, is to add to that? All of the people who support the ideologies that come forth from that house, quote unquote, who have ignored all of the other signs. Do you understand? That whatever your beliefs are, your political beliefs, that is, what's really going on trumps that. They are now being forced to see. Do you understand? You are now being forced to see, regardless of your political affiliations, this is affecting everybody. This is not gender or political affiliated specific. And this dude, and it's not a political rant or political show, we're talking facts here, then repeatedly showed to have an ignorant disdain for those things that mankind cannot control, that are taking place here. Global warming. I mean, I ain't saying nothing. This ain't no conspiracy theory. Look it up. Look it up. It's out there for you to see. The attitude coming from, quote unquote, that house in regards to global warming was asinine. Oh, that ain't real. Oh, that ain't. Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, isn't it somewhere in Antarctica or somewhere they didn't have the hottest summer already on record? Okay. Right. Okay. Excuse me.
I do want to point this out. Regardless of political affiliation or whatever color you tend to side with, pay very close attention in these coming days and weeks to who is doing what for the betterment of all of us, because that's going to arguably speak volumes and potentially save lives. But with that being said, because all of us are now being forced into a very unique set of circumstances and personally unprecedented, because sports was what formed, as you guys pointed out, Brother Rich mentioning 9/11, sports has always been that bridge to normalcy in time.
I can agree with that.
And this is the first time that the human element is being felt amongst each and every one of us. For example, Charles Barkley, within the last 2 hours of self-quarantining, he's fallen ill and awaiting results of his test.
Oh, boy.
The Real Madrid soccer team is under quarantine after Real Madrid, of course, in Spain, where they have over 2,000 cases, had a basketball player, because I believe that's exactly where Luka Modric came from. I'm sorry, not Luka Modric, but Luka Doncic.
Double J, let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you right quick. But hold that thought, please, because you just said something. You're starting to go down the list of the entities that have been affected, vastly affected by this virus, and you sent me in a text earlier a nice lengthy list. The NBA, of course, is suspended indefinitely. MLB suspended indefinitely. NHL suspended indefinitely. Then you mentioned something about the Cowboys stink. Why, I have no idea. The Big East tournament was canceled. The SEC tournament was canceled. The AAC tournament was canceled. The ACC tournament was canceled. The Big Ten tournament was canceled. Pac-12 tournament was canceled, and the MLS suspended 30 days. And that's just a brief list. There's probably more stuff. As we mentioned in the first broadcast, in the racing arena, you know, Formula One. I don't know about NASCAR as of right now, and then tennis, the PNB, the Paribas or whatnot tournament. This does, like you said, this will get worse before it gets better. But you know what? Let me add to this. I think a lot of the heightened fear, if you would, if I'm saying that right, you know, some people might just be overly cautioned. I don't know. I think a lot of it has more to do with those who have passed, unfortunately, due to this, or those who are reported to have passed due to this virus, as there are those who have been contracted or who have contracted it or been in contact with it. Because those who have died, you know, I'm not saying that's where the focus should be, but getting it is one thing, of course. But I'm looking at those who have passed from it. And it seems like when those who have contracted it, those who have passed, when they contracted it, it seemed like a blink of an eye and they were gone. That, to me, I think is what really is at the nucleus of folks' increased awareness. Let's say it like that, you know? So, again, I'm with you, man. I think this will get worse before it gets better.
Well, I want to point that out to you, and part of why that's happening from what I've learned is that, and actually since we're on record and we do have an audience, I will say this, what I was instructed to do regarding a self-check, because what this does is it forms, and that's why you notice dry cough is one of the first symptoms listed, and you get congested, and really
right.
The concept of the virus is to get you congested and then have essentially the mucus run down to your throat and then, of course, infect the lungs. So if you're concerned about it, you take kind of a deep breath, count to 10, and if there's no pain or even wheezing or anything along those lines, you're pretty much in at least in good shape, relatively speaking. But it's because of that incubation period, and that's why they are trying to prevent large group gatherings, because this can last in your system undetected for almost 2 weeks. And that's why you're seeing, by the time it has already nearly run its entire course, that's why, folks are entering the hospital and they're exiting, unfortunately, without using their own free will, simply because they've succumbed to their circumstances. But that's why this is concerning, and you may have it, and you may go around those who are, the most vulnerable to it.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they didn't. I went into work last night, and they didn't. I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but the addressing this issue in my place of occupation is piss poor. Let me just say it that way. And I'm shocked at the entity that we are, or that they are, and
you must work for the government.
Yeah. What's already understood need not be further explained or expressed. Let's touch on a few other things.
Or the Dallas Cowboys.
That the corona effect.
Cowboys. I apologize. That's what I really meant.
That the corona effect has had. Stir in your cauldron. Anyhow, the airline industry, Delta, American United, and a few others I won't name here, won't offer refunds on banned travel to Europe. Are you surprised by that, Brother Rich?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm never surprised by what the corporations do, get away with, what they're allowed to do, get away with, and get reimbursed for. Because the same airline that on the cruise ships and this hotel that will not reimburse you will, in fact, allow the government to reimburse them for what they calculate that you may have spent had you visited their facility. Yeah. This is how wicked this thing works.
Yeah, and that's wicked is apropos. Actually, it might be a doggone understatement. Gully. Same thing. The airlines Are you surprised by the fact that they won't give a refund on the banned travel to Europe?
No, I mean, you can turn every reason into an excuse and every excuse into a reason. They're going to say they're going to lose money elsewhere, irrespective of the fact that they get reimbursed, they have insurances. But they can say on the surface, well, we're going to lose so much money because, nobody's flying. We won't have the money to support the existing flights and to support our existing flights that we're going to keep on schedule. So we can't possibly refund, unfortunately, these passengers, these ticket holders who have flights planned for Europe. We can't possibly afford to reimburse them because we need to pay for the other flights that we're going to lose. By the way, side note, I thought this might be, if you're fearless enough, I thought this might be the perfect time to travel because there'll be plenty of seats because people won't fly. But I'm not surprised that they would pull such a shrewd move. They may ultimately get away with it too.
And you know what, Double J, before you answer that same thing, let me just go back right quick. As far as that quote unquote that house was going on, somebody in the situation up there, then I don't know if they got it or was sick or whatnot, but if somebody close to that dude shook his hand, and if you've seen in his little press conferences or whatever you want to call it, the addressing the country or whatnot, he ain't looking too hot either. Now, I ain't speculating. I'm just saying, I'm just going by the eye test. It ain't looking too good. And then on the flip side, and the NCAA, Brother Rich, to your point, I'm with you. They once again didn't prove how vile and foul they are. Because, I mean, not only, why the long wait to cancel the tournament? And then it was only after Fred Hoiberg. Did you see what happened to Coach Fred Hoiberg, former Bulls coach?
Absolutely.
Hoiberg,
Absolutely.
coaches Nebraska. Yeah, I'm sure we all have seen that right now. Yeah, of course. Right, he's sick, but yet and still you're going to play a game with players only. But this dude is sitting on the sideline sick. That's when the NCAA got him. That's when they were one of the they were not, as you mentioned, so to speak, they were not going to they weren't going to do nothing. The greed is beyond belief with them folks, man. But I think they driving that nail in their own coffin just a little bit further. But Double J, back to you again. The banned travel effect or the refunds not given for. I mean, what's up with that?
Well, it's to be expected for me. And rather than really shine that, although you guys have all touched on it, so they deserve that negative spotlight, but I do want to take the opportunity to highlight those that are doing the right thing, starting with Mark Cuban.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Again, as we kind of all have pointed out, when just because fans aren't there, that also means that those folks who work in those venues, our services are no longer needed themselves, which puts them, unfortunately, that in many respects, that's their only source of income. So for him to say not only that the Dallas Mavericks employees are going to be paid their full salaries, in addition to, I can also report that the Detroit Pistons are going to do the exact same thing, and same with the Detroit Red Wings, being that they share the facility. And so I want to make sure that doesn't go without being noticed as well.
Oh, hold on. Hold on, Brother Rich, that was your cue. The guy mentioned something good that comes from Dallas, and you don't have nothing to say?
Listen.
Oh, the hypocrisy.
Listen,
oh, my gosh.
I definitely was going to ask.
Well, what you mean? How long was you going to wait? You was going to wait as long as the NCAA?
I thought you was going to speak on behalf of your people and just jump in and tell us how great he's done for us.
No.
You want to tell us. I wasn't going to steal your win.
What you mean steal my win? No. Don't give me that yarn about you was going to wait to see what I was going to say. You ain't wait to say nothing no other time. Talking about before I jumped in.
No,
you jump in the other time.
That's
you know what I'm saying? No. Don't be courteous now. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden you want to be courteous. Man, cut me in or cut it out. Yeah, man. Also, and then going back to these schools, here more so on the local front here, it's been reported Ohio health officials, and I don't know what it's like for where you all are at, estimates that 100,000 people in the state of Ohio have the coronavirus. Now, just 2-3 days ago, they said it was only 3 cases.
Now I'm calling that what Gully called it. I think that I was looking at that because, of course, I pay attention when I see Ohio pops up on the Twitter timeline, and it popped up Ohio 100,000. But some of the health professionals were saying that was kind of irresponsible to put that out, because in putting such a large number out without allowing for proper testing facilities to be available and kids and working out how this is going to affect us. Yeah, we know it's going to affect us, but rather than saying 100,000 people in Ohio have it, then you're telling us what? That if you multiply that by spread rate right now, several million people in Ohio will have it or have it currently, and we got to, what do we do? What are they supposed to do? Where is that going to spread? Are they supposed to go to work tomorrow because they're telling their families tonight, wow, do I have it? I think I got a cough. No, we could set in what Gully is telling us, that we could kind of take that and set off some kind of other situation that may be more fear-induced than fact-induced. So if we're going to move on this, we need to move like the governor of Maryland, who moves on facts and who is telling us what this is doing, and Mark Cuban and the other teams and professional leagues that are now facing up to the responsibility of saying, look, we got to do this. Let's do this. Let's close these schools. Let's sanitize. Let's practice good hygiene. And isn't it the thing that you got to tell people to wash their hands?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? You got to tell grown folk, you know what I mean? Yeah, to wash your doggone hands. And you know what, Brother Richard? And this is to all of you all, but since you brought it up, Brother Richard, we'll start with you. Speaking of testing, do you think, based on what you've seen so far on the reports, the various media outlets or whatnot that have been reporting on this, do you think the testing for the virus is failing?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what y'all are doing in Dallas, but I know, in fact, that they're talking all around the country that people are trying to get tested, and either they are not being able, the insurance companies are unable to provide it. They're getting on the line with their providers, their primary care providers, who are unable themselves to provide it and cannot tell them where they can even get the test, where they can procure a test. And so people are calling as far as the CDC. They're calling all over trying to find out, how do I get this? There are reports that someone went to get a test, was found to be negative, was then forwarded a bill for $3,500. So then people are faced with the dilemma of, do I go get a test? And if I go get a test and I'm negative, what do I do? Because I don't have the money to pay my copay. And then if something else happens later on, I won't be able to afford it. So people are staying home sick when they should be able to go get tested. So now people are asking the CDC, and there was something trending on Twitter earlier about a wonderful representative, a woman in Congress, who stood up and questioned the head of the CDC and told him they should provide the testing for the American people for free. Look, we just bailed out Wall Street, $1.5 million. Google it. Look it up. I don't know. I'm sure y'all have Google in Dallas, Jay. Look it up out there. We just bailed out Wall Street.
Man, what is it? You know what? I'm telling you. You know what? Don't.
For the American people.
Oh, my
gosh. Point, we can't pay for the American people.
Oh, now you want to be serious.
Testing. This is the problem.
Oh, my gosh. You can't.
I'm very serious.
Would you stop it with the cowboy referendums? And Gully, you just going to sit here and just keep letting him do that. And Double J, oh, my gosh. I'm not going to even start with you. Silence is, you know what, and speaking a lot. Oh, now you want to.
I use a city. The people know I'm using a city. I'm using an example.
Yeah. Why is that the only example that you have?
You know?
Why is that the only? You act like California ain't got it just as bad. California is terrible right now.
You put it in our. Well, I didn't want to tell the listeners you put it on our contract that we got to talk about your favorite football team. You know, you used to make us open the show saying, how about them Cowboys?
I don't recall such insanity. Okay? I'm going to have to pull the tape. That never, ever happened. Falsehoods this man is preaching. Falsehoods he's spreading. My gosh. Gully, is testing for the virus, in your estimation or opinion, failing?
Well, you can't fail if you don't have it. So you can't fail if it's not available. You get what I mean? I'm saying that rather facetiously to say, oh, why isn't testing available? That's where, again, Brother Rich, I think you hinted at what I was trying to get at too. I believe there's some hysteria, and it's almost intentional. It's like they're kind of like adding it in, like throwing it on like a garnish. There's no excuse why we would shut down the entire economy but fail to do the thing that can help take action on restoring the economy, that is substantially supplying testing. Why do we give $1.5 trillion to a money market machine that's going to recover anyway when people could use that to test to figure out where they need to go, unless there is an agenda driven? This is why, not being a conspiracy theorist overall, I feel like there's something at play here. Brother Rich, why you exactly right. Why did they get $1.5 trillion, but we can't figure out how to do the test? Right. Makes no sense at all.
Double J?
My honest answer to that question would be that shows how dire things actually are. Because if you compare apples to apples, the amounts that they've lost in 3 days exceeded the recession of a decade ago.
Double J, let me
over an entire year.
Double J, I don't mean to cut you off, but while you and Gully were talking, I was listening to you as of course, but I called my brother, man. My brother is a doctor in New York, and I got him on the line. His name is Jemille. Jemille, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, hold on. Let me introduce you to everybody. I got Brother Rich out in California. I got my man Joey James.
How you doing, Brother
I call him Double J. He's up in Michigan. And we got our cousin D. Gully on the line, of course, in Columbus. We are discussing the coronavirus and the impact that it's had, not just in the sports landscape, but just worldwide, so to speak. Now, we did a show this past Tuesday. Our initial show in discussing this or whatnot. But like I said early on, in less than we did the show Tuesday, just this Tuesday that just passed. So in less than basically like 48 hours, everything that has taken place in the impact in regards to this has increased exponentially. I mean, it's like 100-fold. So we got together and decided we come back and touch on this right quick while it's as to inform and and let folk know, the seriousness of what's taking place. But I wanted to get somebody's perspective, of course, who is actually in the medical field. So before you dive in, I'll ask you a question. When I just tell us, because I forgot, and I'll be having senior moments. Brother Rich and Double J and Gully will tell you that. What's your title, man, and what hospital are you at? Or you might not want to say that, but what's your title actually?
Okay, so I am a family general practitioner. I work mostly in geriatric, so I work with old people most of the time.
Elderly, please, thank you. Don't let your mother hear you say that.
Elderly, yes, sir. Elderly, that's fine. I work at multiple skilled nursing facilities. Okay, so I'm the medical director at a few skilled nursing facilities, and I'm actually an urgent care physician at a clinic in Liberty, New York as well.
Okay.
So I do a whole bunch of things, but general practice is like my basic forte.
Okay.
Now, I think there's a few important things to just understand about coronavirus, generically speaking. Now, you have a whole bunch of things going around in the news, and just to put this disease into perspective. Okay, so coronavirus is a family of viruses that normally exist in your body. It's the mainstream ones cause the common cold. So of the 3 types of viruses that cause the common cold, coronavirus is one of them. This is basically just a subset of that type. It's a variant of coronavirus. And so that's why you see the the people surviving and having less problems with it in some populations of people. Okay, so if you look at all of the deaths worldwide that has occurred from this virus.
Hold on. You said
people over 60 years old.
Hold on 1 second. You said deaths that have occurred?
Deaths, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Most of the deaths that have occurred as a result of this virus are people older than 60 years old. There was actually one death at somebody less than 60. One, okay, in the United States. Mm-hmm. There's been about 5 total in the world, but one in the United States, and this person already had a problem with their immune system. So it wasn't like he was a perfectly healthy person that passed away. He already had a problem with his immune system, and he passed away from this virus. So most other people that have survived, they get common cold symptoms, and then they go away. And that's just usually what happens. So now this disease, though, this is why it's bad, though. Because of the simple fact that per capita, it's killing more people than other similar viruses are doing. That's what it is. That's the problem. But again, most people are surviving. So if you're less than 60 years old, there's a great chance that you'll get coronavirus, COVID-19, and you'll survive. That's just the basic ruling that going on in
Got you.
So for the most part, I recommend everybody just doing things that boost your immune system. So take vitamin C, at least 2 grams a day. Take echinacea. Use oil of oregano. Mix it with, just take like a few drops in 20 ounces of water and drink that water during the day. These kind of things will boost your immune system and give you a great chance of fighting this pathogen off.
What about black seed oil?
So I'm saying that's a generic. Okay, black seed oil it's very good at most diseases, but most of the things that I've mentioned have direct effects on viruses. Okay, so oil of oregano is an antiviral.
Okay.
Vitamin C itself is an antiviral, but it as well boosts your immune system. So you know what I mean? So these things they have direct effects on viruses.
Got you. Let me ask you this, man. Now, this is good stuff. Y'all, hey, Brother Rich, Double J, Gully, y'all getting this? I told you, man, I don't have sources.
I got my notepad out, bro.
Excuse me. And that's not it's not that kind of cough.
James is coughing.
That's not that kind of cough. I was drinking water and it went down the wrong pipe. Excuse me. I don't have sources, but I do know people. I've told y'all that. Anywho, Jemille, let me ask you, and this is good stuff too. You know what I mean? I think this is kind of like groundbreaking for the Shop Report because we're getting ready to put this out here. A lot of folks ain't privy to this kind of stuff, and I'm lightweight popping my collar. But anyway, seriously, I had just asked the somewhat panel here that I got, and I'll ask you as well: is the testing for this virus failing, based on your expertise?
Okay, so they really don't have an official test for this. Okay, so it's not commercially available just yet. So most of the times what they're doing is it's a clinical diagnosis. It's people that are coming from endemic areas, people that have traveled, and they have the symptoms consistent with this. Now, the bad part about this is that once you get it, like I said, most people clear it, but one of the effects of it is something called pulmonary fibrosis, and this is something that's not really curable. Okay, so once you get to the fact where this thing is in your lungs and it causes your lungs to fibrose, then it's pretty much that's a done deal. You're not really recovering from that. So they can do things like corticosteroids and stuff like that to slow the progression of it. But other than that, once you get pulmonary fibrosis, then forget about it.
So and
that's usually a bad thing.
Okay, so then how do you know you got the pulmonary fibrosis? I mean, of course you got to go to the doctor, but is there anything you can self-check, so to speak?
It's really not. So I'm saying that the pulmonary fibrosis is what happens is that it makes your normal lung tissue into scar tissue. Okay, and so once but your lungs are very resilient, so it kind of takes you a lot to start noticing when you're getting to that stage. So it's usually really severe shortness of breath, with minimal exertion. So you're not doing very much, and it's really hard to breathe. And so once it gets to that point where it's like really hard to breathe, and you're not even you're just sitting around, then you should know that there's something going on with your lungs that's compromising your lungs to a great extent. And once you get to that point, that's a lot of times. And the bad part about it is that your lungs are so resilient that you don't show a lot of badness until it's really, really bad. And so that's when people go to the doctors. And so that's why a lot of times people are dying as well, is because they're not going to the doctor early enough, because it's not really bad early enough. And so it's one of those things that changes really quickly. You get a cold, and then if it's going to be bad, it goes bad real quick. And so then people, they don't really go when they get a cold. They go when they get
bad really quick, yeah.
When they're essentially drowning in their own tissues and they can't breathe. And that's when they go to the doctors, and then by that time it's usually not a good thing. And so that's one of the things that's actually leading to the death toll as it is as well. Is that people are presenting too late.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Brother Rich, Double J Gully, if you all want to ask him a question of your own, by all means do so. Brother Rich, we'll start with you if you want to ask a question.
Doc, I just want to thank you because you're giving us the science on it, and that's what we need. Because, again, one of the things that we were talking about on the program earlier is what are people supposed to do, because people are debating whether or not should I go get tested, when should I go to the doctor, because people were asking up to the president, okay, what happens, where do I go get the test? You just told us medically there is no quote-unquote test for this. So what would you advise the listeners? What would you advise those of us who are listening to you right now, benefiting from your wisdom? What should we or they do if somebody feels a certain way?
Okay, so now what I normally do is anybody that presents within 3 days of having cold symptoms, we usually kill it a virus and we usually send people home. But I recommend anybody who has been in any confined space with multiple people, like you've been at a school, you've been at a camp, you've been at, things like that. I recommend anybody who's traveled, to any of those endemic areas, to Iran, to Bahrain, to Pakistan, to any of those areas. I would recommend them. If you start feeling cold symptoms, I would go get tested. Now, they've developed testing mechanisms, but if you can imagine, this is a brand new disease, okay? So they're developing a lot of this stuff. They don't have a lot of it, they don't have a lot of it for testing right now. So this is why. So they're
developing it on the fly?
They're kind of developing it on the fly.
Yeah.
And so, if you can imagine, they have tests, but they don't have enough commercially available tests at this scale of what the disease is presenting. So the disease is beating everybody to the punch with most of these things. So they don't have enough to go around. So
okay, so hold on. Let me
WHO may have to test.
Hold on. Let me throw this out there at you. But by you saying that part right there, at the end of the day, in essence, are you essentially saying when what's going on around you is greater than your ability to control it, that is what? ...
Okay, so it has such a large-reaching effect. One of the things is something called the contagion effect. Okay, so the contagion effect is simply the economic effect that having something like this pandemic has on economics, generically speaking. We're seeing it in the NBA, the NFL, baseball, the college ranks. We're seeing it on the sports level. But it has an effect on other levels too. So I'll give you an example. In the nursing homes that I go to, right? When I go in, and I've been working there for years, I have to sign in. I have to answer a questionnaire. They say, have you been around anybody that traveled extensively? Have you yourself traveled extensively? Have you been around anybody that has flu symptoms for greater than 3 days? They have this whole little questionnaire that they give me, primarily because this is how they're going to be. They're not going to be able to screen anybody in any other way right now other than these types of things. So if you go to, if you're in a pandemic area where they're conducting tests and doing this kind of stuff, yes, they have tests available for that. But if you go to the clinic right down the street, they're probably not going to have COVID-19 testing. So they're going to ask you all of these questions just to put you in an arena where they're going to say, okay, we need to send this person for further testing, or we need to get rid of quarantine this person, or do this kind of thing. So this is why they're doing it, is because the disease is beating people to the punch. So the resources available are being overrun by the people presenting with symptoms. And it's going to be even worse because anytime somebody gets a cold, they're going to run to the hospital because they're thinking they're going to have, COVID-19. So now that's going to be the other economic effect because you're going to have a whole bunch of people with regular cold going to the hospital. And what that's going to do is they're going to, even if you have an endemic area, that's going to expose more people to the virus now because you have all of these people flooding hospitals. And then that's going to even increase the spread that much more. So it's just going to become a vicious cycle. You're going to have less resources available for all the people that are presented. And so this is the kind of effect. So I'm saying, but I would say that if you have a regular cold and you haven't traveled, you haven't been around people, you haven't been in these confined spaces, I would say that you are more than likely going to have a regular cold. But if you have any of these things that you look up, the COVID questionnaires, if you have any of these exposures, then I would recommend, if you have any of these symptoms, then I would recommend going to the hospital and getting checked.
Okay, so then.
Now, big hospitals.
So hold on.
Hospitals will probably have the testing, and it's trickling down. So some of the bigger hospitals, like Cleveland Clinic and stuff like that, those places will probably have the testing available.
Okay.
But not on a large scale, I'll tell you that.
Okay, so tell us again now, just maybe for some folks that's out there listening, for peace of mind, so to speak, the boosting of your immune system. You do what again? Or, you said, I know you mentioned vitamin C and you mentioned a few others.
Okay, so I'll say that, so vitamin C. Vitamin C itself has a bunch of different types of effects. It boosts your immune system and it directly affects pathogens or microorganisms. Okay, so it does it two ways then. So now, but what people are doing is that normally you're supposed to take about 500 milligrams of vitamin C a day. But the prophylactic dose is not going to be good enough for treating these things or trying to prevent these other types of things. So you have to take more than you normally would. Okay, so you have about 2 grams a day, which is about 4 500 milligram tablets or 2 1,000 milligram tablets. You're going to have to do that in the wake of this. That's what I would do for anybody, generically speaking.
Okay.
Severely boost your vitamin C intake. Okay? So that's the first thing I would recommend people doing. Now, if you take too much vitamin C and you're not used to it, it can cause you to have diarrhea. Okay, so if I'm telling you to take 2 grams a day, then you just take 1,500 milligrams or 1.5 grams a day for a longer period of time.
Okay, so
you don't understand normally when you get it.
Okay, but for the layman, in layman's terms, that's like if you're taking pills, the vitamin C tablets, that would be what, a half a tablet or 1.5 tablets or 1 tablet?
No. Most of them are 500. Most of them are 500 milligrams. That's the normal dose that you find.
Okay.
The easiest tablets to find are the 500 milligram tablets.
Okay.
Okay. So if you take the 500 milligram tablets, you have to take 4 of those.
Oh, okay. I got you. So you saying
4.
So you saying find one where you can maybe take 1 tablet that's got what, maybe 1,500 milligrams, or at least one where you could take maybe 2 tablets.
I'm saying
1,000.
Some of them. At least take 2. At least take 1,000.
Okay.
At least take 1,000.
Gotcha.
Most definitely at least take 1,000.
All right. Which would?
But I'm saying, if you don't get the diarrhea, just take 2,000. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Got you.
2 grams.
Got you.
So just just the same thing.
Okay.
Now, echinacea is a root. It comes in a liquid form, and it as well boosts your immune system. So echinacea is very good immune booster. They have zinc tablets. Zinc tablets are good for normal cold, and I'm going to put that into the same arena of coronavirus. So I would take zinc too. So zinc and vitamin C kind of work hand in hand with building your collagen reserve. So I'm saying it would be too much to explain, but collagen is just something, is like the backbone of your immune system. Okay, so it's a very important key.
Gotcha. It's a necessary element.
Zinc does one thing to fortify your collagen, and vitamin C does another thing to fortify your collagen. That's essentially what they do.
Gotcha.
But vitamin C itself as well directly affects microorganisms too. So it does both.
Gotcha.
So I'm saying, it's a very good thing to take.
Let me.
Turmeric is something good too. Go for it.
Yeah, let me throw this out here at you, because now you're talking about various herbs and so on and so forth to take. What about honey? Would honey in any way or shape, form, or fashion, help to boost the immune system? Immune system.
Okay, so honey is like the panacea or cure all for most things. Honey has a direct antimicrobial effect itself. Honey, if you take a spoonful of good honey, you have to get good honey though, like organic honey.
Gotcha.
If you take a spoonful of honey 30 minutes before you put anything on your stomach, before you eat during the day, if you take a spoonful of honey, it helps reset and kill all bacteria and bad things, not the good ones, not your normal flora, but the bad things in your stomach, and helps reset your stomach. So it's a good thing to just take honey, generically speaking, 30 minutes before you eat anything. Before you eat it, it's just a good thing to do that. But it helps regulate your stomach immune system. You know what I mean? So it's just good for that. But use even like soldiers and stuff. They use it on wounds. Like, you know what I mean? So they don't have antibiotics, stuff like that. They put honey directly on their wounds. And that keeps bacteria away, and it kills bacteria that's on your wound. You know what I mean? So it has a direct microorganism effect itself. So honey is perfect. Honey is perfect. And if you mix honey and vitamin C, come on, honey and vitamin C.
Right.
That's our mother's remedy for everything.
For everything, yeah,
so
yeah.
There's some scientific validity to her, her vitamin C and honey.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. Double J, would you like to? Are y'all learning something today? See, y'all thought I was playing, man. I told y'all one day I was gonna pull out the big guns. Keep playing with me here. Keep playing with me here. Yeah,
absolutely.
You know why I said why I do this and why I say I'm gonna stay true to this.
Do you live in Dallas too?
No, he don't live in Dallas, man. Man, Jamil, don't even worry about him. Brother Richard is on a. Anyway, it's a long story. Double J, would you like to ask a question? Brother Richard, keep it up here. You and them rented mules and that association that you running over there illegally. I keep telling you I'm going to call Peter. Keep it up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, keep it up. Yeah.
I'm closing my ears to the illegal.
Yeah. Please do. Double J, would you like to ask the doc a question?
I would. So I'm going to give a very real example here. I know you listed a general thought process, regarding if you should be concerned that you may come down with this. However,
okay.
So one of the Utah Jazz players happened to test positive for it now, two of which have.
Oh, he's a sports head too now. Don't get it twisted. He's a sports head too now.
Okay,
so you're not talking. It's not foreign what you're saying.
You may be familiar with.
Yes.
And so I was at the Pistons game versus Utah on this past Saturday, and
okay.
I happened to, we're sitting close. Can be a curse apparently.
Gotcha.
And so I was roughly 2 rows away from the infected players.
Okay.
Now again, I have no symptoms. 4 or 5 days later. And clearly was not coughed on directly or received any kind of article of clothing from the individual. But how concerned should I be knowing that this can be airborne for what I believe 3 hours and can live for up to 3 days on a hard surface?
On a surface, yes. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why they're telling everybody to. It's a very good question. This is one of the reasons why they're telling everybody to wash their hands and the hand sanitizer. Me, I personally recommend soap and water. Soap and warm water. Wash your hands when you can. If you're in a situation where you don't have access to soap and water, then the hand sanitizers are an okay alternative. All right, but usually when they say airborne, they're not airborne for any. It's not like a respiratory. They're not aerosolized. Okay, so they're not floating around in the air any far distances. What they usually do is that they stay within 3 to 6 feet of where they come from. Okay, so it's more of a droplet thing than it is an aerosolized thing. So I'll say like if you sneeze, right, and you sneeze an aerosolized like microorganism. Your sneeze travels about 22 to 30 feet. Can you believe that? It travels that far. A sneeze does. Okay? But the particles, the microorganisms, are at different weight within that sneeze. So anything that is of the heavier weight, they don't go that far. kind of drop to the ground.
Right, due to the density.
Okay, so some of these things that, even though they're airborne, they're lower to the ground, so your chances of actually really getting them in are low. Okay, so those are like respiratory droplets. If it's aerosolized, it stays in the higher areas, closer to where somebody would be walking. So aerosolized particles are more dangerous because they can travel further and they can stay suspended in the higher air longer. So that's why they're more problematic. Now, the other ones, though, the respiratory droplets, the reason why they cause a problem on surfaces is because those things that drop from the air, they land on the ground, or they land on the surface. And so if they land on the surface, they can stay on those surface for longer periods of time. And then if you touch the surface, you can get these types of things. Now, they're not saying, and what they probably won't say,
hold on,
that a lot of people,
you kind of like, I don't know if you got your mouth away from the phone or what, or you're moving around, but sometimes you kind of go out slightly. And I need everybody to, hear this. Seriously, you good. Go ahead.
Okay, so respiratory droplets, like I was saying, that when they come out of your mouth or your nose or wherever they come from, they travel about 3 to 6 feet. Okay, the heavier particles. They travel about 3 to 6 feet. They stay suspended for maybe an hour or so. They go to the ground or to a surface. So this is why they're problematic in both ways, because they're in the air for a little bit, but they're on surfaces too. So if you touch those surfaces, like Rudy Gobert touched the microphones and stuff like that, then you can get it both ways. Now, the aerosolized particles, if it's an aerosolized particle, it can travel feet, like really extensive, 30 up to 30 feet. So that's going to be more of a problem, and it stays in the air long. That's going to be more of a problem breathing stuff in. So now you were close back. I don't think you were within 3 to 6 feet of people, and 3 to 6 feet of stuff that their stuff could have dropped on. So those people that were at the table,
hey, Jemille,
and they're going to be.
I'm losing you, man. I'm losing you.
I'm sorry. Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah, you try. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, that's a little bit better. Yeah. Say that last part. Repeat that last part, please.
Okay, so I was saying that Rudy Gobert was one of those people, and any of those people that were sitting like courtside, any people on the floor with them, they're going to be more risk of developing symptoms and getting some of the virus. I think you were too far back to really have a chance to directly come in contact with any of this stuff.
Okay, good deal. Gully, what about you? You want to ask him a question? Yeah, Jemille, you saying some good stuff. This is stuff that everybody needs to hear. When I put it out, I'm gonna put it out to as many people as I possibly can, because this is some good stuff. I don't think that I have yet to see or hear anybody, and I'm sure Double J and Gully would agree, especially Brother Rich. He just said facts. You turn the TV on. Who you know from the CDC giving this kind of information? You know what I'm saying? I ain't heard not near folk from that quote unquote houses camp. And no other camp, Sanders, Biden, nobody else. You know what I mean? So that's why when you speak, man, you kind of it get a little garbled a little bit. So maybe slow down a little bit, or just try to make sure your signal is strong, or that you're in a decent area. Because what you're gonna say from this, this moment forward till we get out of here is going to be even more crucial. You know what I mean? I want to make sure everybody can hear you. So just kind of be mindful of that. Gully, you want to ask him a question too?
All right, will do.
Actually, I did, but you guys answered. You guys asked all the right questions, and you gave all the such pertinent information. Actually, if I can though, can you revisit the what you mentioned about honey again?
Okay,
yeah.
So honey has a direct microorganism effect. Okay, so what that means is that it can actually cause the death of multiple types of microorganisms. Okay, so viruses, bacteria, and so I say viruses with an asterisk because viruses are not technically alive. They're not live organisms. Okay, so what they're essentially are, they're little pieces of DNA floating around in the air, but they need a cell to infect to actually become alive. So it's not so you can destroy them with detergent, alcohol, things like that. Basically, what type of virus it is. And so they are actually not living things. So you want to decrease the chances of getting them as much as you possibly can. So what I was saying about honey itself is that honey can actually destroy those particles, and it can help bolster or boost your immune system to help you destroy them when they get into your cells. Okay, so if they get into your body, they're going to get into your cells. But you may never see a symptom because your body will be that efficient at destroying them when it gets into your cell before it causes you a problem. And so that's kind of what you're trying to do. So the best thing to do is not look for all of these cures. And I'm thinking about the way they're going about this. To me, they're going about it a very stupid way. But I'm saying that the best thing that any lay person can do is to bolster your immune system. And that's that I would recommend.
Yeah.
So what I was saying about and like your GI system is that honey helps reset your gastro system, your stomach. It helps reset it to where it operates efficiently, and it helps reset your protection to operate efficiently. Okay, so your stomach's own protection system in addition to your immune system. So it's part of your immune system, but it has its own person. And so honey will help with that.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you should take a spoonful or something, like a tablespoonful, before you eat anything, before you put anything on your stomach before breakfast or whatever, or before you eat in general?
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually the best time to take it, is before. And I'm saying that's the time to take it to help your GI system and help regulate that and to help your protection with that. That's the best time to take it. It's 30 minutes before you eat anything. But whenever you do it throughout the day, you can still do it throughout the day as well.
Gotcha.
You can still take it a spoonful a couple of times a day. It still will be more. It'll still be helpful as well.
Yeah, and to all you listeners out there, organic honey is preferred. It's probably your best course for what the doc is explaining.
No. It's actually, you have to have organic honey. So what's the difference? A lot of store-bought honey, they feed the bees sugar water. So the bees take the sugar water instead of nectar, and they make sugar water into honey. But it doesn't have the same effect because the sugar a lot of times is granulated sugar, so it's not good for you anyway. And so granulated sugar formed into honey does not make the best honey.
Got you.
So that's why you have to get an organic honey, because it comes from bees that went and got nectar. And made real honey. Got you.
Okay, we'll ask a couple of more questions, man, before we get out of here.
If honey costs $1.49, it's probably not real honey.
Yeah, exactly. Brother Rich, Double J Gully, I mean, I'm sure y'all loving this, right? Got to be, right?
Absolutely. Doc, let me ask you a question. Do you see a seasonal life cycle of this, or do you see this repeating itself? What do you see? What's the profile of this?
That's a good question.
So, like I said, I think that people will do better with this because of the simple fact that your body is normally bombarded with coronavirus on any given day anyway. So I think that it's not going to be that much of a problem because it's not super foreign to your immune system, like SARS and Zika and swine flu. Those are more novel viruses that may not be exposed to your immune system that much. So to me, those are more of a problem than this is. Now, like I said, the reason why it's becoming a problem is because part of it is sensationalism. People are making it sound like, Godzilla virus and all of this other stuff. So it's sensationalism is part of it. But because of the death toll that's associated with it, then, people are scared. So, I mean, I get that. But I think that it's going to run its course and probably not be that much of a problem because your immune system has seen corona. I think that's why a lot of people are probably beating it, is because your immune system said, okay, even though this is a different form of coronavirus, once you get to the nitty-gritty, it's still coronavirus. So I'm saying I think that once that happens, I think most people are going to be okay. So I don't see this being a huge problem, but I think that it's going to be based on how prevalent the sensationalism is. It's going to run its course as it's going right now.
Good stuff. You know what? And I said two more questions. Let me ask you this. when you're washing your hands, if you're one of those folks that wash your hands, how critical is cleaning under the nails?
Okay, so that is okay. So now I'll give you a little a little story in this regard.
And listen. Whatever you're doing,
for OSHA.
Whatever you're doing right now, I can hear you the clearest. So keep doing whatever you're doing. Go ahead.
Okay. So whenever we wash our hands for OSHA, like when we test it sometimes, like how to wash our hands, if you don't include that part of your hand washing, then you fail the test. Okay, so because it's very crucial. Now, when it's spreading viruses, it may not be as bad, but bacterial, it's more of a problem. But any microorganism, it can still be a problem. So because your nails, if you can imagine, it's like a roof. You know what I mean? And things get under there and hide. They're like, okay,
right.
Stupid. He didn't clean under here, so I'm gonna stay under here and chill while all that soap and stuff is cleaning everything else. So it's a very crucial thing to hand washing is to wash your hands. Now, one other crucial aspect of hand washing is your hand drying. Okay, so now I'm going to say that when you dry your hands, you have to make sure to dry your palm first, and then the back of your hand.
Gotcha.
And then don't take that towel and after you wipe the back of your hands and re-wipe your palm.
Gotcha.
Very crucial not to do that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now a lot of people do that, or they don't think about it like that. But anytime you do that, you're taking bacteria from your skin and putting it right back onto the palms, your touching surfaces of your hand.
So the palms, are more susceptible than the back of your hands, is what you're saying.
Well, it just depends. Your palms are more. Your skin is very protected. It's like it's your first line of defense against any microorganism, generically speaking. And so your palms are not necessarily more susceptible than your surface skin, but your surface skin is just made to be resilient to a lot of stuff. So it's just a little tougher, if you will, than the palms are. But when you're touching stuff, when you clean off the stuff that you touch, a lot of times you don't clean it off of the back of your hands as well because of the pores and the things that it can climb into and stuff. And so you don't want to dry the back of your hands and then re-dry and touch that same towel back to the palms of your hands.
Okay.
Because you're just putting stuff back on your palms.
All right, that's good stuff. Woo-wee. Hey, I'm kind of glad we did this one, y'all, for sure. And then lastly,
absolutely.
Yeah, would you still call the virus at this juncture a pandemic, or is it an epidemic? And if you still see it as a pandemic, will it lend itself to sooner rather than later being labeled as an epidemic?
Right now, I would say that it's an epidemic now. It's too far spread now to be a pandemic. Pandemic usually is localized to areas and stuff like that too, and so I'm saying it's too worldwide now to be a pandemic. So I would say that it's epidemic now, but I'm saying that I think that they're going to, because of the scare factor that it has right now, they're going to milk that part. That part's going to be milked. But at the same time, I just think that people, the thing that they should focus on is making sure that you wash your hands and making sure they try to boost your immune system. I think that if you do those two things primarily, that you'll have less of a chance of, first and foremost, catching it, and secondly, dying from it. And so those are the two biggest things. Catching it is one thing, dying from it is a whole different thing. So now some people are going to catch it and survive, okay? And I think that you'll increase your chances of survival if your immune system is in its top form. So I'm saying that I would recommend people that you may not totally be able to avoid it, but if you catch it, there's a better chance at you beating it if your immune system is strong.
Man, that was again, I'm sure my co-host would agree. That was necessary. That was so necessary for folks to know, man. Because again, I done watched, not in their entirety or whatnot, but it caught a few snippets of course, it's everywhere, the discussions that's going on and taking place or whatnot. And I have yet to hear this kind of information being given. You see what I mean? This is the kind of stuff I've been saying since day one about substantive. Okay? All of that pageantry and all of that, man, that don't equal substance. Well, this person in the CDC, and then they said, oh, well, you don't have to do nothing, but then the same guy telling you about how to break down go, he digging in his nose. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wait a minute, where they do that at?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, man, bro, this was good stuff. I'm glad you were on, man, because I knew, well, like I said, when we got together to decide we wanted to go ahead and put something together on the heels of this, not on the heels, but, as this thing is spreading, it's kind of rush, throw stuff together. And I said, man, who can I get on here, that will add a different type of insight, more in depth than what we had discussed before, because I didn't want us to appear redundant and so on and so forth. But I knew we needed to discuss it again. So, man, my hat's off to you, man. I appreciate you. Salute, for coming on and giving us your rundown from a medical perspective, that type of insight or whatnot. And
support the shot report as well.
Yeah.
And I do want to say one more thing. I do want to, or before the questions or anything, and of course y'all can ask whatever you want. But okay, I do want to say this. Now, this is why I like to scare, and I don't like it as the scare tactic. I say that most people, if it's around, you won't be able to avoid it at this point. Because I'll give you an example. Let's say that you go to a store and somebody was in an endemic area and they got the respiratory droplet, okay? And now they're breathing all over the money that they're giving you change with, okay? If it's on that money, you can still get it. So I'm saying that the factors that control the spread of it, it's too prevalent. It's too many things, too many factors of how this thing can spread. So people with the
that's why I asked, would you call it an epidemic now?
Kind of stuff, at some point, you're probably going to be exposed to it because it's too many ways not to be exposed to it, or too many ways to be exposed to it. So it's too many ways that it's going to be a problem. So you're never going to be, like I'm saying, so all of these things that people are trying to do, the quarantine, if you touched money, if you went to a store, if any of these things, you're going to potentially expose yourself to it. So I don't think that people should really be super focused on trying to not live their lives. Live your life. Do normal things like you would normally do. But I'm telling you, the key thing that you want to do is you want to make sure your immune system is as strong as it possibly can be. Because, like I said, you may not totally be able to avoid it, but you can increase your chances not to die. I mean, and so I'm just saying that don't be a person that's like, oh, I'm gonna live my life, because I know somebody who told me that, oh, I'm self-quarantined, and I said, what does that mean? They said, I'm just staying in the house and I'm just gonna do work from home. I said, okay, and I said, how you gonna get food? They said, well, I order out. I said, as soon as that dude who is exposed to this virus brings you your money from that you give him the change from your pizza, now you're exposed to it right here. So you in your house with corona. Okay, okay, so I said, so come on, you're still not going to be able to avoid it totally any of these kind of ways. I said, so unless you grew your own food and you out there in the field picking your own food and all of this kind of stuff, then come on, it's something that's probably not 100% unavoidable.
Yeah, I would,
but like I said, just increase your chances of it killing you.
Yeah, I would recommend folks go out there and go old school, all the way old school. Those old enough to remember. Just going outside, find you a fresh piece of earth, man, and go and get you a handful. You know what I mean? Just wash it. Just wash it down with. Wash it down with some lemonade. Oh, Brother Rich, don't even act like you ain't eat mug cakes when you 7. Man, stop it, man. In between rounds of playing down the man. Or playing down the man. Man, stop it, man. We all ate.
I don't think that was mud there in the Fort Worth stockyard.
You know what, Double J, you can eat a mug cake now. You know what I'm saying? Kiss my grits. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting tired of this. Yeah, I'm not going to even say what I was going to say. Let me tell you something. Who here did not, the little pretty girl that lived next door with the ponytails hanging from the side when she was 7.5 with no teeth, You understand what I'm saying? She come out on the porch. You want to show how tough you was. You ate a handful of dirt. So don't even try to act like y'all didn't. Man, y'all kill me. You know what I mean? Gully, don't you say nothing either. Yeah, don't you say a darn thing.
It was hard growing up in Dallas, huh?
You know, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You just stay down there in San Antonio or California, wherever it is, and go to the Raiders' new stadium, the one that looked like a toilet with your Yorkie. Anywho, I want to thank my brother, man, for coming on, you know, and providing some valuable insight as to what's happening, what's taking place, this epidemic, as I'm calling it, you know, called the COVID-19, the coronavirus or whatnot. And, of course, my co-host, Brother Rich, Double J, and D. Gully. The insight here was invaluable, and I'm hoping that folks, when they listen to it, man, they done learned something, you know, or being able to at least be able to take something away from this, you know, gainfully, if you would, if I'm saying that right. And on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. We appreciate y'all for listening. Don't forget to check us out right here on the Spreaker.com network. You go to the search box and you type in the Shot Report. And while you're there, please subscribe to our Spreaker.com show. Or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and give us a follow. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. As well, you can drop us a line, comments, suggestions via email, theshotreport365@gmail.com. And if that don't work, Google it. For my mans, B. Rich, Double J, D. Gully, and our special guest, Dr. Jemille Smith, and all those who follow and support us, we say thank you. I'm Barbershop J, and you've been listening to the Shot Report. And remember, the next time you want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla!